the fact that we have to make these distinctions in 2022. I was talking about this with somebody the other day, with the whole thing about the black coaches and how it's now 2.5 men. And you're thinking that we have to make these distinctions at this point, and that the NFL has to reach and go, wow, he's half a black guy, that McDaniel, half a black guy. There you go. It's working. And you're thinking, no, why do we have to make these distinctions with white and black? I know it sounds kind of simple to say that, but why can't people just accept each other for who and what they are? The pleasure, as always, to be joined by the head basketball coach of the University of Miami basketball team, the great one himself, Mr. Jim Laranega. Will you be using any of the video from the NBA All-Star game in any of your defensive classroom sections? And does that even represent token pressure from the old days in the parks?
We're trying to get our guys to defend like the guys who guarded Steph Curry.
Well, they were shooting from the Coke machine, literally. I mean, there actually was a Coke machine at the midcourt stripe.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
On a beautiful Tuesday here in South Florida. Good morning, everybody. I'm Jeff Deforrest, along with one Mike Lubitz. We welcome you to the Defo Show here on ION Channel, and very happy to have you with us here on this fine day. A lot of things happening, Mike Lubitz. There was a lot of movement yesterday, and I'm not talking bowel. I'm talking some real, legitimate, and concrete, tangible movement going on in both Major League Baseball and of course, the National Football League. Later on this hour, we had to move a couple of things around to accommodate what we think is going to be just a terrific time that we'll get to spend once again with the aforementioned Jim Laranega, who you heard from there, not recommending to his Hurricane basketball team as a number 10 seed in the NCAA tournament, not recommending that they employ the same defense that was used by the NBA All-Stars. These are the best players in the league. Are they one-way players, Lubie? All just shooters? The NBA All-Stars? That was a disgrace, what happened in the NBA All-Star game. And yet, I guess all All-Star games, for the most part, have somewhat been destroyed. I don't know about the Major League Baseball All-Star game. At least it's somewhat a semblance, a facsimile of what the game actually is. All the other All-Star games have been destroyed. Do they even play the NHL All-Star game anymore? Do they play a game, or do they just have like a little session there?
What they do? It's actually a good question.
I don't know. I don't think they actually play a game anymore. If they do, I missed it this year. Of course, the NBA, you have like each team scoring 200 points. And the NFL Pro Bowl was deemed to be so ridiculously bad this year that once again, suggestions arose that outside of the few degenerates that take the over in the game and finally cash a ticket after losing their ass the entire NFL season, you know what? The guys that are losing are probably taking the under, thinking, oh, well, they're not going to score a lot of points in this thing because when you're a loser, let's face it, you're a loser. You'll find a way to sabotage yourself and suck your way into losing yet another zillion dollars worth of bets. That's why all of these entities can't wait to give you a free $1,000 as a come on. Go ahead, lose 1,000. That's no. Imagine that, lose 1,000 as a welcoming gift to signing up for all of these various gambling sites that are out there today. I mean, if we don't get a piece of this money sometime in the next year, Libby, there's something wrong with us. There really is. So there's your goal. There's your mission statement. Get a piece of the gambling pie. Not a chicken pot pie, not a pizza pie. Yesterday was National Pie Day, as in P-I, which, do you remember any of the conceptual stuff that surrounded the mathematical reasons for understanding, pi and pi r squared and what all of these different theories are? It doesn't matter anymore, right? Remember, you used to struggle with geometry and trigonometry. Calculus was a bitch. Nobody could figure that one out. And yet, I mean, how useless is it? Nobody does math anymore in their head or on paper. You see anybody writing out mathematical equations anymore and going, oh, yeah, there it is. Now, degenerate math is a whole nother thing. Because, can we calculate? I mean, you got a $22.80 exacta. And if you happen to have that 5 times, you can immediately do in your head, okay, it's $1.10 for the 22, $4 for the 80 cents and change. That's $1.14. That's what I'm getting back, right? You don't need any kind of calculator or do it on a computer. Nothing like that. All you can do that straight in your head because it's degeneracy. And when it comes to winning, well, it's rare enough that you have to calculate a win, but we were very, very good at that. But the rest of it, you could throw it out the window, could you not? Mathematical calculations, nobody really needs to indulge in that. And sure enough, it's fairly simple the way things are laid out. That if you're going to get a free $1,000 from a gambling site, there's a pretty good chance that they feel that overall you're going to lose your ass.
Oof.
That's the way the world today. Once everybody's cleaned out, it won't matter anymore, right? Putin will roll in with his tanks, and we'll all be Russians. Start doing a Kazatsky all the way to the window. All right, good to have you guys with us for the show. A lot of action yesterday. Your Miami Dolphins made some moves, Lubie, that were deemed to be okay. I don't know. Did they do anything particularly smart? They signed a wide receiver. They retained Agba, who has been outstanding. That guy's been a factor.
Yes.
I mean, you watch almost any defensive play that the Miami Dolphins are involved in, and usually you'll see this guy Agba somewhere being involved as some kind of catalyst of making something good happen. A lot of sacks, puts a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. Really been an excellent player for the Miami Dolphins. They signed a wide receiver. The wide receiver they signed, who is this guy? Cedric Wilson?
Cedric Wilson Jr. I've heard of his father. I remember him playing for the Cardinals. I never heard. I guess he was the fourth or fifth, because that shows you just how deep Dallas's receiving core was. I never heard of this guy, and supposedly Cowboy fans loved him.
Might have loved him. The bar was blown to bits there by Jacksonville, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who signed Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk got a boatload of money, and supposedly that set the entire free agency salary bar way. I mean, everybody's looking at that. We'll ask Brett Tessler if he's ever used this line. Are you kidding me? You see what they gave Christian Kirk, and you're offering my guy that? Well, what kind of chump do you play me for? Unbelievable. Brett's going to join us about 7:40. We had to move a couple of things around because Jim Laranega is going to join us. Actually, honored to have him on before he goes into the NCAA tournament. Number 10 seed taking on USC in the first round. USC comes in as a 7 seed. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going wrong here because I also like at number 10, I like Virginia Tech to win their opening ball game. Excuse me, to win their opening ball game. Some people feel that Virginia Tech as a 10 seed is a sleeper to come out of their bracket. I mean, to come out of their section of the tournament there. And I don't know if I believe that, but I mean, if you think about it, and this is the thing, and I guess we'll get some insight into this from Jim Laranega. The ACC was perceived to be weak this year. Are they that weak that these number 10 seeds like Miami going against USC, I didn't see enough USC basketball to say, that there's any legitimate comparison that I can make between the two teams. Miami, I believe, is going to be a 1.5 underdog in that ball game against USC. And USC, of course, got the guy from Florida Gulf Coast, Andy Enfield. Was that his name?
Yes.
Andy Enfield.
Yes, good job by you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was a great story when he was at Florida Gulf Coast, and they made the Cinderella run. Where did they go? Did they go to the Elite Eight?
I think it was 8.
Which should be the Great Eight, shouldn't it? Florida Gulf Coast with that one team?
Elite 8.
Yeah. Who was the guy that we interviewed after Enfield left for USC and he took over Florida Gulf Coast? He was a guy out of New York or something, and very interesting character. But he's since left there, has he not?
I think
Florida
so.
Gulf Coast just recently. I don't know if this was the same guy because that was years ago. How many years ago was it that we were at the Final Four, Lubie? Was that like 5, 6?
It was 2017.
Years ago?
2016. It was 2016. 6 years ago.
Wow, that long ago. Wow.
I know.
It was a great experience, I have to say. Now we had much better access than most average fans would, although anybody could hang out at the main hotel.
Yes.
For the Final Four. And if you're a basketball fan, I mean, you're literally running into virtually a who's who of college basketball people.
Yep.
Right? I mean, we were looking at Calipari was holding court there on the couch. You would see like Shaka Smart rolling through the lobby there. You actually did the piece or no piece test with Bill Self, the Kansas coach, as you were able to get right up behind him. And I thought you were even going to tug on that thing.
I was like this close to.
Because, that was one of our big debates was whether or not Bill Self was wearing a hairpiece. And it's still up for debate. Still up for debate. Can you believe that? Now, that's a good piece. I saw a guy yesterday on my walk of life had the most horrible hairpiece. Now, I don't want to condemn everybody because it looked to me this was an older gentleman, and it looked to me like, who knows? He might have had the big C, right? The big casino.
Yeah.
And if he did, then I don't care what he stuck on his head, right? At that point, I mean, how can you be critical, right? The guy's, a couple of steps away from meeting his maker, and you're going to, say, hey, nice piece there, Joe, huh? Did you think it looked good when you put that on in the morning? What is that, a muskrat? But anyway, Self, who we heard varying stories from people that claim to be in the know about this. Some people say it's his real hair. Other people believe it's just one of the best hair pieces they've ever seen. Now, the hair weave has kind of changed the whole dynamic, has it not, of hair pieces? And there are people that theorize that he got one of the early versions of the most elite hair weaves. But you can always tell by the way the hair sticks out in the back, can't you? I mean,
Yes.
if the guy's hair is sort of like not connected to his neck, that's the
It's
one
weird.
thing they haven't been able to perfect, right? No matter what. I mean, you can have any guy that's in the hair business. And who is the guy, Hair Club for Men? And I'm
Yes.
also a client, right? And I'm like, yeah,
Yes.
well, we could tell that.
We
That
need-
goofball thing that you've got on your head. But anyway, I mean, when you're in the team hotel, not the team hotel, but the headquartered hotel for
Yep.
the Final Four, which we were in Houston. We weren't staying there, but, we were hanging around. You run into virtually anybody that you could ever imagine,
Yeah.
right?
John,
It was
like,
great.
Big John, since John Thompson's there. Like, it was crazy. Like, that was actually really interesting. Just being there and seeing all the, like, Shaka Smart was like the little kid. Like, all the, like, Self and Calipari would walk around, and Shaka Smart was just like nipping at their heels. It was the funniest thing.
Right, yeah. I mean, you're having a cup of coffee, and next to you is like Tom Izzo, right? And he's just shooting
Yeah.
the breeze with you.
Yep.
It really is a great event to attend, although I'm not a fan of seeing basketball in stadiums. I think, I mean, that goes all the way back to remember when they had the game between Houston and UCLA when the Big E was going against then Lou Alcindor, eventually Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The Big E was Elvin Hayes, and this was like a giant matchup, and it was played at the Houston Astrodome in front of 50,000 people, which I would imagine at that time, and maybe, I don't know, it can't still be a record, can it? When they've now shifted Final Four activity to football stadiums, right? The game in Houston, the games in Houston were in the football stadium.
Yep.
And I mean, if you're in a nosebleed there in a football stadium trying to watch a basketball game, I don't know that you're really getting your money's worth. If you're getting, just absolutely stabbed in the back there by some scalper for tickets. Yeah, you want to go to the game? It's going to cost you. Okay. What would be wrong with just packing an arena? I mean, how much greed and avarice is involved in the NCAA's quest to milk every dime there is? They're not getting enough money from CBS for this thing? That
Exactly.
they couldn't just hold a basketball game. Here's a concept. Hold a basketball game in a basketball arena. And have whatever. I mean, if you have 19.5 or something, you get a big arena. Make sure that it's in a place that can hold maybe close to 20,000, and have the game in there. Well, what's wrong with that? Do you really need like 65,000 people at a Final Four game? Especially, I mean, we were sort of courtside with the location that we had that they had set aside for the. Here's an oxymoron: the working press. Because we were hardly working. I mean, we were just hanging around watching the game at that point. We're talk show hosts. Well, what are we going to do? Take
We
notes?
didn't
Get
work
out of
the
here.
game. I mean, we're there.
I like the fact that when they send out like the incessant stream of statistical material, where a guy's coming by and handing you a sheet of paper with some stats on it or some notes on it, like every 3 seconds they're going down the row, and it's enough. Literally, I mean, you could. Have enough paper there to rewrite War and Peace and not run out of paper. And we're grabbing it like we're paying attention, like
Yep.
this is part of our whole thing. And really, we don't care. And at that point, we didn't have any interest in it, except I mean, it was nice to observe. But we were essentially courtside.
Yes.
And you couldn't see Jack. I mean, it was a horrible view of the game. You had to actually watch it on the big screen that was above while you were at the game, sitting in essentially what would be the equivalent of front row seats.
Seats, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, why they insist on having an operation like that, but obviously the reason is the fabulous moolah. But anyway, Jim Laranega is going to talk about it. It goes against USC. I'm not sure how to make that matchup, so we'll get some insight into that. I would love to see the Hurricanes win a couple of games. Virginia Tech as the sleeper team to come out of their bracket and make it to the Final Four. Do you see Virginia Tech doing that? They did just mow down in succession North Carolina, who was a very, very hot team, as evidenced by the fact that they beat Duke in that final regular season game and embarrassed Coach K to the point where he made a fool of himself. This distinguished, eloquent speaking. How much is Coach K going to get as a motivational speaker when he tours around the country there?
He already does it.
Right?
He does well.
I mean, he could do more dates than Hillary Clinton, I would think, especially now, right? Is Hillary still in hot demand for speeches in front of companies?
Probably not like Coach K.
Coach K, I mean, are you kidding me? It'd be like getting Pat Riley to agree to do some speaking gigs, which he does at what? Is Riley getting a couple of $100,000 a pop? Bill Clinton does. He gets big money for that.
I think Riley
That's a nice little racket, is it not? Nice racket. The public speaking game. We're not famous enough to. This is the limit of our public speaking, and hopefully, we're speaking to a larger public, than we were when we first started this thing 4 months ago, which is great. Ion Channel, good to be here on Ion Channel, and I love talking basketball with Jim Laranega. Who can we throw at him? I mean, we got a lot of mileage out of the Whopper last time, Billy Pauls. And would it be appropriate on the eve of him going to the NCAA tournament with his Hurricane basketball team, who, they gave Duke all they could handle in that game. They were ahead of Duke most of that ball game. Duke eventually would lose to Virginia Tech. So does that distinguish them as a sleeper team, or was the ACC just inherently weak this year? Could it be that? I mean, there had to be some teams. I thought Duke looked like a potential national champion not that long before the end of the season. Didn't they look like they were playing great basketball?
Yeah, before they played Miami and VT, they were playing really strong. Well, in the Carolina game. I guess those 3 games they struggled, but they were on a nice little run until those 3 games. I mean, Duke is a legitimate title contender. The problem is everyone else. Look, Wake Forest was top 3 in the ACC. They didn't even make the tournament. Notre Dame, I think, is in a play-in game. And then you have Carolina's in, Virginia Tech, Miami, and Duke. So you have 4 legit teams in, and then you have a play-in, and you have Wake, who's not even in. Like, the ACC getting 4.5, 5 teams. Like, the Big Ten has, 9? Like, it's down near with the ACC. The last few years, the ACC has sort of cycled out of, like, being the top conference.
Now isn't the Big Ten known as a choking league there? I mean, and when it comes to the tournament of late, don't they have like a very poor record of late?
Yeah, like last year, there was a disaster.
Right. I mean, they're getting knocked down the first round. They're part of a lot of those routine upsets that you see in the early going. Michigan gets in there as a real fugazi entry into the NCAA tournament, in a lot of people's opinion. Perhaps bolstered by the threat of Juwan Howard punching one of the committee members in the face if they got jobbed. See, that's a way to deal with it. And never mind all of this whining and fetching on social media. Oh, man, did we get screwed? Can you believe it? They got in and we didn't. Just bring Juwan Howard out there. And Michigan doesn't get in. Boom. The right hand. And down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. I don't know. I mean, they were like 17 and 15. And it seemed like every big game that they faced, they lost, including the one in Wisconsin there, where Juwan Howard ended up getting suspended for 5 games because he started messing the hair of one of the assistant coaches after, he wasn't satisfied with the answer that the Wisconsin coach gave him about calling the timeout with like 4 seconds to go in a ball game up 15. Did you really need to do that? But he was pressing. That was the thing. I mean, if you're going to do something, an obnoxious gesture, like press down 15 with a couple of seconds to go in a ball game, then how can you be upset if the coach calls a timeout in response just to tell his guys, okay, they're going to put full court pressure on. Guess what? We're going to take the ball out at the midcourt stripe. This way we can throw it any direction we want, evaporate the final 15 seconds. You can hang on to the basketball there, and Juwan Howard can't do anything about it. He wasn't going to score 15 points in 15 seconds, so what the hell was he thinking, huh? You would have to say that his move was the aggressive BS move, right?
Yeah, it was douchey. And I coach youth basketball. If someone's doing something like that at the end of a game, then I'm going to do the same thing back. I mean, like, what do you want to be competitive, but we're not supposed to be? Like, I'm always the one for calling off the dogs, but you don't be a jerk back. Like, I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, what was the point of pressing? Are you trying to cut the lead to 11 before the time runs out? Is that the thing? I mean, if you've got 2 steals and 2 baskets, even two 3-pointers, you're still losing a ball game by 9 points.
Yeah. I mean,
there's not enough time to get the 15 points, even if you put Reggie Miller out there on the court.
Exactly. Reggie didn't get.
It's not happening, Jawan. So how can you start screaming and throwing punches at a guy who called a timeout just to remind his team? Well, I mean, he gave them the possession at midcourt, which was a lot better than having to face full court press underneath your own basket, which we know can be prohibitive, especially you're up 15. Maybe you just make an errant throw, thinking that the other team's not going to do anything. So a very aggressive move by Juwan Howard to then try to back that up by going Oscar De La Hoya during the handshake line. You know me, too. I'm a big fan. I actually was always a big fan of sportsmanship. You're playing a game, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Right? It's funny. Two guys are playing tennis, here I am over 70 years old. Now, what am I going to walk away mad that I lost? No. I'm going to go have a couple of beers and, hope to get a chance to play the next day. That's it. What happened to that? I know it's high stakes and everything, and jobs are at stake, and big money's at stake, and all of this, but nonetheless, in interscholastic athletics, which is what the whole gist of college sports is supposed to be, to enhance somebody's ability to be a better person, a better man, a better woman through playing sports, and I believe that element is always there if conducted in the proper frame of mind. Which Juwan Howard certainly was not necessarily being an advocate of when he started throwing punches and started to spark the brawl between Wisconsin and Michigan. But Michigan's there. A lot of people would say that they have no business being in the tournament. Watch, they'll win like 3 games.
I did a bracket for Believe, and I think I have them winning at least 1 game. I mean, that team that you always say shouldn't get in wins like 3. Like VCU that 1 year, everyone's like, they shouldn't be. They were in the play-in. Everyone's like, this is a joke. This is ridiculous. And they made it to the Final Four. So I like those are the teams that get that chip on their shoulder bullshit and somehow pull it all together, and you see them going some stupid-ass run.
Could happen. I mean, that's part of the beauty of it. And then, you have, as we were calling them, the champions of the weenie conferences and some of the so-called schmenk teams that are in there. And who knows, right? Some guy likes South Dakota State to emerge from their section of the tournament and make it into the Final Four. South Dakota State is the guy's sleeper team. Do we know anything about South Dakota State? No, nothing. Zero.
No.
They're I mean, is it? And their big rival was North Dakota State, who I think they beat in their conference tournament to get into this thing. And you're thinking, what's between North Dakota State and South Dakota State? Barren wasteland. That's it. There are no cities. There are no stops. I mean, if you're taking the road, there's tumbleweed blowing by. You would think you were in Kansas.
No. You've actually been. I forgot you've actually been to one of the Dakotas.
I don't know. I've been to North Dakota.
Yeah.
I mean, that was an experience. It really was.
Because it was cold too. You not only were in the Dakotas, you're in the Dakotas when it was like -80.
You know how some things that you can envision, from your past, and I can clearly envision getting off that plane in Minot, North Dakota. You would imagine they're not bringing some monster jet in there, and you actually landed at an airport that was also the Air Force Base.
Oh, geez.
Which, that's one of the things they have in that area is like, military service people are there because, you know what, we need a lot of space. It was 50 below zero, with the wind chill factor, 50 below zero when I got off this flight. And I had just, because, me, a little bit wardrobe challenge. So I'm going to call a fight on national TV. It actually was a world title fight with Virgil Hill, who was a light heavyweight champion of some distinction. For a pretty good period of time. Virgil Hill. I don't know if you remember this guy.
I've heard of his name, yeah.
Good boxer. Wasn't the greatest. He was around at a time that there were some very good light heavyweights, so it was very competitive. And he held one of the belts. I forget which one. But he held almost all of his fights in his home state of North Dakota, anytime he could. And so he's in Minot. He was from Bismarck, but this was in Minot, North Dakota. And I remember I had to buy a pair of pants so I could do the broadcast because, I only had shorts. So I went to J.C. Penney's, right? I had to buy a jacket and a pair of pants. So I got a $60 jacket that was made of a substance that I don't know. I think Flex Seal also uses some of the components that were in the material in his jacket. I mean, you ever had one of those jackets that like literally like you could wad it up and put it in your pocket, and then when you pulled it out, what would that be? I mean, if some kind of synthetic that
No.
I think they're using it now as the tapetum surface at Gulfstream Park for their synthetic racetrack. That same material. It was like chewed up tires or something.
Only you.
I mean, polyester would be like the most desirable of silk compared to what this stuff was made of. So anyway, I bought its jacket for $60. I used it for a long time. I got a lot of mileage out of that particular sports coat, and it didn't look half bad, honestly. Lubie, on TV, because it changes everything a little bit. I mean, you could have some fancy schmancy piece of clothing on, and nobody knows the difference. And then I had a pair of cotton pants, and I got off the plane, and I'm wearing a pair of cotton pants that I bought in Florida, and I mean, straight. You talk about catching one right to the testicles. My God. I mean, they literally were frozen together within 2 steps off the plane, and you had to walk from the plane to this little terminal.
Oh, no.
Cold as shit. I mean, and I know cold because Syracuse University, ask Jimmy B, man, how he lasted 47 years there. Because it is cold, man. I mean, you would definitely entertain the idea of replacing Andy Enfield at Florida Gulf Coast over there on Marco Island or wherever this school happens to be. How come I hadn't heard of that?
Myers. It's in Fort Myers. My sister-in-law went there. It's very small. We walked around the campus when she was, I think, a senior or a junior, and we're like, this is a college?
But look where it is. That's the thing.
Fort Myers. It's like firmly entrenched in Fort Myers.
Wow. Deion Sanders territory.
Yes.
But when I had the Barron's Guide to all colleges, do you remember ever perusing that? Was that a popular item, or was it all online stuff by the time you were selecting FSU?
It was still guides. I'm that old that online existed, but it wasn't your first place to go. We had all the guides. Best schools.
What was the first thing that you looked at? The first thing I looked at what was ratio of women to men.
See, I had known that I didn't have to look that up because I knew people that were in Tallahassee between FAMU, TCC, and FSU. It was like well known that it was like 11-3 or like 13-4. It was like some stupid. It was like some ludicrous.
Those are favorable numbers. Yes,
it was like amazing. It was like when you combine the 3 schools and all had really good looking women, it was like fantastic. And I remember telling my girlfriend that at the time, throwing that in her face all the time, and she would get so pissed.
It had to be like at least close to 50-50 for me to even. Oh, well, I didn't apply to that many schools, but how do we not know about like Florida Gulf Coast or Pepperdine for that matter? Sitting there on the Pacific Palisades out there in Los Angeles, Pepperdine, that would have been a nice place to go. University of California, Santa Barbara, that would have been a good one. No,
probably did well. Yeah, well, Arizona State is legendary. That's out west.
Well, it was also difficult for people to go to state schools that were from out of state.
Yes,
the acceptance was very limited, and you actually had to have some grades, not just the manufactured ones that somehow appeared on whatever report that I sent to the people there, representing the great. Well, at the time they were the Orange Men, but then what? Who got upset about Orange Men?
It's a Native American slur of some kind, so it's just orange.
That is too. I mean, really, orange? I never thought of that.
I don't
Redskins,
know.
I understand. We discussed that yesterday. But Orange Men? Was that like a Native American reference? Could have been. There was definitely a Native American influence in Syracuse, right? Because what was Jim Brown was playing lacrosse, for God's sake. Where do you think he picked that up from?
Native Americans.
It was a Native American special, man. Those guys, they made the sticks and everything, right? Baskets.
Whatever you say.
By the way, I mean, you see this professional indoor lacrosse, Lubie?
I've never watched. We interviewed guys from it. I've never watched it.
Yeah. Well, the goalie is bigger than the goal.
Yes, that's what's interesting about lacrosse is they still find a way to score more than soccer, and the goal is smaller than the goalie. It's like, why can't soccer score?
Like the goalie's standing there. I mean, if you got like my theory a long time ago in the NHL, and it's not exactly like I was Toe Blake when I came up with this one, but what was to get sumo wrestlers to be goalies.
Every hockey person is.
They supposedly are athletic, are they not? I mean, I know they're big fat guys. Why wouldn't you just have a sumo wrestler lay down in front of the goal And you know what? If you could score with the half-inch, parameter that you had, if you could score, get it over his belly as he was laying sideways, so be it. So you give up a couple of goals, right? It's not like you got an empty net. Why not? I mean, the whole crowd would be yelling, Shamu, Shamu. You got to whale the guard in the goal. But in indoor professional lacrosse, I'm watching some highlights, and they were showing a guy scoring, and I'm looking at him going, wait a minute. The goalie is bigger than the goal itself with the equipment that he's wearing.
He is. I know. And they still score. They score a good amount of goals.
And then they give the guy like a fishing net. On top of that, did you see that? Like if you were going to catch a bass somewhere, I thought you were watching one of those outdoor shows on Saturday morning before actual real sports came on.
Oh my God!
Right? And you're watching like Jimmy Houston catching some bass, and you're thinking, doesn't this guy ever get skunked? Everybody does, don't they? Why don't they just have a show where the guy doesn't catch a single fish? That would be much more like my fishing experience. It would be relatable, right? Never mind the American Sportsman, where they could send 3 bozo drunks out. And, they're catching like the most difficult trout that you could possibly snare. And they're doing it like on a fly rod where, I don't know, could Phil Harris actually, even put the bait on the hook? No, I guess you're using lures on that one, right? Little feathers and things like that. Catch those speckled trout. And then, the big deal is you reeled in a fish that's like this big and you have it in a frying pan there over an open fire. And you think you're like, you're living, living the American dream. Seems a little primitive to me, man. I'd much rather be at the Casa D'Angelo having their Chilean sea bass prepared by one of the master chefs. Yeah, if I was going to go fishing all day. All right, we're coming back with more. Brett Tessler, the agent to the stars, is going to join us. A lot of activity in the NFL. And this deal for Christian Kirk.
Yes.
Throw everything out of whack. All of a sudden, all the dials are spinning. Your clock is on time that you don't even recognize. You can't turn your computer on. Did it discombobulate the entire system? This Christian Kirk deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't even see how much money that was for, but everybody's screaming about that.
It was $484, but after the guarantee money, I think it ends up being like a 2-year deal for like 40 something.
In other words, he's going to have to
sell 17
souvenirs.
mil a year, 18 mil a year. I don't know, something like that. The thing is, Christian Kirk is a talent, but he was like the 4th receiver with the Cardinals.
Yeah,
like 3 or 4 guys ahead of him. Like that's what was weird about it.
It doesn't mean he won't blossom and be worth every penny of this money, but we'll see.
Well, the Jags spent a lot yesterday. The Jags, I think, signed 3 or 4 guys. Like the Jags went. People were like, "What the hell's going on with the Jags?"
That's one of those organizations, though, that, except for the period of time many, many years ago, I would say like circa late 90s, they have perennially sucked, have they not? I mean,
they had weird runs. Like they'll be
abysmal
down.
Joke, for a long time.
They had that run a few years ago where they played the Patriots in the AFC Championship when they loaded up on
that's right. They had a good team then. You're right.
And they had that one, but it'll be like 1 year. Like with Byron Leftwich, they had a year where they almost took out the Chargers and the Patriots. And then they suck again. And then they had Garrard. And then they had our boy out of UCF, Blake. And they went to the AFC Championship, had the lead on the Patriots. In the 4th quarter, looked like they were about to go to the Super Bowl and then fell apart. And then immediately were bad. It's like freaking weird. Like they were loaded with a bunch of young guys. And they just went to the shitter. Well,
that's right. The professor hasn't gotten over that loss.
Yes.
Remember that? Because he hates the Patriots, number one, and he had big money on Jacksonville.
We were all together. We were at his house.
And they looked like a winner. Yeah, I mean, they looked like a cinch winner.
Yeah, they had it.
Until
like 2 scores.
The league must have made a call downstairs and said, hey, listen, Brady and Belichick, they don't lose this game. You understand? They don't lose this game.
So annoying.
All of a sudden, the other team starts doing really stupid things. That's always, exasperating when that happens, especially – I mean, you're sitting there on a definitive score, right? You were right about everything except the result. Yep. That's the way it goes. That golf tournament was insane. This guy, Cameron Smith, weird-looking dude from Australia, I guess he is. He had an Australian accent. And, some scraggly hair. You were thinking, who let this hippie out there onto the golf course? Everybody else is buttoned down and neat and trim, with the exception of our guy, Tommy Fleetwood Mac. And I used to like Angel Jimenez when he was on Miguel Angel Jimenez. Yeah, he was great with the ponytail. He's still on the Champions Tour now. He's doing very well for himself. But, and he's a wild character. I read a story about him. a real character, a real, well-rounded, just fun-loving guy that you don't often associate with PGA Tour stiffs. But and there it was again, right? Paul Casey's right in the middle of this thing. How is this guy always in the middle of big tournaments? What does he do the rest of the year besides? Does he only enter like the majors and Tournament
I don't
Players
know.
Championship? I never see him on the leaderboard anywhere else. Do you, Paul Casey?
No.
Always right there. I mean, knocking on the door. But this guy Cameron Smith, he started to fall apart, and then he bounced right back with like a string of birdies, and eventually finished up 13 under for this tournament that was played in absolutely horrid conditions.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And he was battling a guy, I believe his name was Lahiri, who I never heard of. You ever heard of this guy, Lahiri? That might not even be his name, so
I was gonna say
it'll be difficult to hear of him, that's for sure. And those two ended up 1-2 in the tournament. Lahiri finished one shot back of Cameron Smith. You know what the paycheck was for the Tournament Players Championship? One tournament. Think about that.
Oh God, I don't know. Is it 3 or 4?
I remember I was discussing a week ago with John Kajemi about walking through the hall there in Inverary, and they have pictures of like Lee Trevino and Johnny Miller and Tom Weiskopf and all these guys that won the Jackie Gleason Inverary Classic. But when it was played on that course, and that's probably circa, could it be 50 years ago? That far back? No, it wasn't that far back. But the winner's check was like 53 grand, 53,000.
Last
You get
place.
that for entering now. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you make the cut, you're getting 53 grand. $3.6 million.
Oof, that's not even
The
amazing.
prize money there. $3.6 million.
That's amazing.
Harvey's going to join us later on also, Harvey Fialkov. And it's always good because we get to talk a little bit about the tennis circuit, which they're playing Indian Wells. And, of course, the Miami tournament is coming up. Now, do we want to venture down there this year, Lubie?
I'd love
Catch
to.
a
I
little
haven't
pro
done this-
tennis at the Miami Open?
I haven't gone since it's at the Hard Rock. I think you've gone. I haven't gone since it left
Yeah.
freaking South Miami. I mean, I'm always
I went the first year. It's okay. I mean, it wasn't exactly, the atmosphere there, just pulling up, and you got the water all over the place there, Key Biscayne, Florida. Beautiful
was
little
so
spot. And then the tournament was tucked in nicely, and it was set up very, very well. It really was on Key Biscayne. The environmentalists eventually, I mean, you would have thought that Butch Buchholz had thrown down a giant net and was trapping red snapper that were about to become extinct. But they eventually, got the thing out of there. And Stephen Ross, I don't know. I mean, as much as this guy's in a jackpot, he did a good thing there, did he not? He saved the tournament. One of the, considered, I guess, it might be considered at times the fifth slam event.
It was always
Close to it.
the best tournament outside of the Grand Slam.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if the Key Biscayne location made it more desirable, but these tennis players are getting the courtesy car and having somebody drive them down to South Beach anyway, no?
Yeah, they don't care.
You think
wanna be in South
Kyrgios is staying in the hotel overnight, while waiting to, get to his next match there? Can't wait to get out and hit some balls.
No, I'm not staying down there.
He was hitting every bar probably, in South Beach.
100%.
They had to put the new curfew in just to keep some of the tennis players probably out of there. No, I would imagine if they're successful, they're probably very dedicated. Anyway, we have to run. Brett Tessler is going to join us here in just a second. Don't forget about Hialeah Park because we never do. We love Hialeah Park. Beautiful place. Seeing again, Lubie, I think I saw like another 50 dimes taken down on a jackpot on Facebook just again this week. Crazy jackpots being paid in the casino. You really have a shot to win. I saw a lot of nice incentives to get a player's card where you get great entitlements, including a very generous allotment of free play. So you want to look into that. And you're just going to love it. You're going to love the vibe. If you go into some casinos, the casinos in Atlantic City many times, especially on weekdays now, it'll be rollicking a little bit in the two sports books that they have there. I think they might have two now or even three. But that'll be rocking. But a lot of times you walk into casinos there on the boardwalk, and it was sort of in decline there, and you had like pandemic conditions about to be on set and beset upon the population of America. This was a couple of years ago, the last time I was there, and you walk in there and it's dead. I mean, it's just no fun. So you want a place that's lively? Hialeah Park is that place. I mean, even throw down a couple of Cuban coffees there at the now it's all part of Junior's Bistro. Yeah, how great is that? Now, me, I'm throwing down a couple of cocktails, and I'm even considering. Well, when you're at Hialeah Park, the poker room is so great, you would consider taking up the game, even if you knew nothing about it, right? Beginner's
Yeah,
luck.
a lot of
Get in
energy.
there, start raking in some jackpots. Look at that, 4 aces. How about that, KGB? Check, check, check. It's a lot of fun. It's a great setup, and it'll be a beautiful place to play some cards and watch all of the games there Thursday and Friday. So look forward to that. Champion Simulcasting Room is one of my favorite spots on the planet. A lot better. I would rather, if they could move Champions to Atlantic City, I would much prefer being there to even the Borgata, which has a very nice race book. It's spacious, a lot of seats. But, it just doesn't compare. It's just a beautiful setup there at Hialeah Park. You're going to love it. All the activity there is just absolutely fantastic. Check out the calendar of events at hialeahpark.com and make your plans to have a social outing and have yourself a blast at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, Brett Tessler, the agent to the stars. Harvey Fialkov going to join us. And then looking very much forward to having the great head basketball coach. And, wow, you talk about basketball aficionado. Extraordinary gentleman, Jim Laranega, going to join us about 8:35 here on the Defo Show with Mike Lubitz, where we'll be back with Brett Tessler, the agent to the stars, in a moment. Now that. It's 7:42.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
The simple pleasures of this job, the way a stadium sounds when one of my players performs well on the field, the way we are meant to protect them in health and in injury. Less, more attention, caring for them, caring for ourselves in the games too.
The agent to the stars, the one and only Brett Tessler.
This is the business we have chosen, and I think this man chose wisely based on some of the dollar amounts that are being tossed around for journeyman NFL players at this point, and guys that are largely unproven. And every contract I'm looking at as they're posting these things, and I'm not sure if these numbers are inflated or if, it's only the guaranteed money that counts. But it sounds to me like having 20 guys in the NFL would be a pretty good thing right now. So we welcome to the show, and joins us every Tuesday. We had to move the time around a little bit to accommodate the great Jim Laranega. So we thank Brett Tessler, the agent to the stars, for doing that. Brent, I mean, you must be all smiles. Did you get a call from your banker yesterday by any chance? I don't know if any of your guys were involved. I know you had one of your players re-up a deal, I believe, with the Vikings. First of all, how are you? Or should the question be, could you be any better? Brett Tessler, the agent to the stars. Welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? I'm always good when I'm with you, but it's good to see good players getting good deals, and this is what happens when the salary cap goes up substantially. Obviously, some of the names that you see getting these deals are not guys that most fans are familiar to. So when you talk about some of the D tackle types, some of the offensive linemen, that's where people are really like, who? Because again, when Aaron Rodgers gets $50 million, he's worth every penny of it. And in fact, again, when you're talking about guys like Rodgers and Brady, you can't really put a price in terms of what they're worth to their team in the league. But it is good to see, some money going around out there, and we'll see how long it lasts.
Seems to me, I mean, I was doing some quick calculations because, naturally you're thinking, well, wait a minute, my friend Tessler must be making, a vast fortune. Because I know you represent many offensive linemen, and it looked to me like offensive linemen, I don't know that all of them would be household names. I don't know every offensive lineman in the league. You would be more inclined to be familiar with them, obviously, as it's even more so your business. But they were all getting like $10 million a year, like 4-year deals, $40 million for some nondescript guard that I never heard of.
Again, I mean, that's the way it, tends to go every year, where some of those guys that people, again, just average fans, especially of guys on teams outside of their market that, may not be recognizable to them, but guys who have proven that they're very valuable. And, offensive linemen have always been well compensated. And maybe that's a big part of the reason why I tend to target a lot of those guys.
Very smart on your part, my friend. No wonder you got mansions here and houses there. Unbelievable. No, fantastic. Congratulations. All right, Christian Kirk. This seems to be the hot button topic with people that are analyzing what happened in the free agent market. And he breaks the bank with the Jacksonville Jaguars. As Lubie was saying, a guy that wasn't necessarily the top guy even on his own team there with Arizona. So, did that change the barometer of all negotiations? The fact that, and have you ever said to any general manager, did you see what Christian Kirk got? Are you kidding me? You're going to insult me like that, Joe?
Obviously, when a player like him gets a contract like that, and again, more power to him and his agent, the old saying is you're worth whatever someone's willing to pay. And so if they found a team that's willing to pay him that amount of money, well, that's what he's worth. And if he's worth that, then that makes you wonder what some other people would be worth. And so, certainly, again, you can't fault anybody for taking what somebody's willing to offer them. And yes, that's, one of those deals that you see every year that, kind of leaves you scratching your head a little bit. Last year, I think maybe there was a receiver on the Giants or something that,
yes,
that, people were a little perplexed by, but again,
and he didn't do anything, right? I mean, he didn't come close to justifying the pay.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, we'll see how this one works out. But the bottom line is, it's just like the draft, Defo. You just never know how these things are going to pan out. And this could wind up being a tremendous signing. This could, end up being something where they saw something that, other people didn't. And, he proves to be worth every penny. Or it's a situation we see like so many every year where, there's free agent busts. And just because a guy was successful or did some good things in a different offense or a different scheme or whatever the case may be, that doesn't automatically correlate to success elsewhere. You just don't know how someone's going to fit into a scheme, to a playbook, how they're going to click with coaching. And so just remember, a lot of these deals that you're seeing signed today, 2 years from now, a lot of these guys are going to end up being cap casualties.
Yes, and you would expect that of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who haven't exactly been known of late for their soundness of thinking, including, what was perhaps one of the most embarrassing coaching hires in the history of the National Football League, putting Urban Meyer in charge for like 11 games. And, even with Trevor Lawrence, they still weren't able to do anything. Is this a desperate grasp to, acquire some level of dignity after the embarrassment of last year for Jacksonville? And do you find that to be consistent with their history, that, that they just have no consistency, so to speak, in how they operate?
Like a lot of things in life, sometimes the harder you try and the more desperate you are, sometimes things, just tend not to go your way. Whereas,
don't know that. You're talking to, you're preaching to the choir here. Look at Lubie and me, Brett. Come on.
It's sort of a case where success breeds success, and good teams don't need to make panic moves. They don't need to overpay to get guys to come in there, because it's a place where people would want to be anyway, if they want to win. So, when you're talking about going to maybe a franchise that has not had a lot of success, a front office that maybe, and I'm not saying that's the case with Jacksonville, I'm just saying just anywhere, a case where you're not talking about a very highly regarded front office or, not a desirable place to live, whatever the case may be. These are the things those teams have to do to try to get players where another team might have been able to get that same player for much less money. But we'll see how things work out there with that signing. Obviously, I think they're desperately doing everything they can to provide their young franchise quarterback with more weapons and trying to give their, offensive-minded head coach, more pieces to work with.
Talking with Brett Tessler, the agent to the stars here on the Defo Show, at Tessler Sports on Twitter, Facebook, Brett Tessler. You touched on you tapped into it in a sense when you were like, yeah, you saw when the cap went up, things would go up. As an agent, were you doing, like Defo loves to throw out the phrase Kazaski, when you saw the cap explode, like as an agent, are you doing backflips? Like, are you literally like, oh shit, this is going to be freaking great. Look at what they just did. Like, do you directly assume everyone's going to get paid when you see a cap go up like that?
No, because the way the NFL works is it's always sort of been the haves and the have-nots. There's really never been a very strong middle class. And so the adage that the high tide rises all the boats is not necessarily accurate. You're going to see, again, these top players here in the next, you're starting to see it yesterday, obviously, and you'll see it probably through this week. You're going to see some of those contracts, coming down the pipe, but it does dry up relatively quickly because once you got your franchise quarterback spoken for, and once you try to sign a quality lineman or two and a top offensive weapon and, a top corner, pass rusher, those kinds of positions, it's amazing when you see contracts like Christian Kirk, what a dent that puts in your salary cap. And before you know it, teams are then on to bargain shopping, 2-3 weeks from now, where there's still plenty of good players that can be had. And in many cases, looking back 3-4 years from now, those may actually be the moves that have more of a successful impact to the team than the big splashy move you see now. Because when you think about the Dolphins, for example, throughout the years, signing guys like Mike Williams, signing guys like Ndamukong Suh, I don't really think those moves led to very much success. And so again, this is football. It's a big team. It's a 50+ man roster. There's 11 guys on each side of the ball. This isn't a sport like basketball where you go ahead and sign LeBron James. You could go from being the worst team in the league one year to winning a championship the next. There's a lot of things that go into success in this sport, and usually one player alone, unless you're talking about just an all-time franchise quarterback like what Brady did, coming to the Bucs and winning them a Super Bowl. In most cases in this sport, that's not the way it works.
A couple of things come to mind. 2 words to describe those blunders by the Dolphins: Mike Tannenbaum.
Oh.
And then, it's interesting because I thought the answer to Lubie's Kazatsky question was going to be a yes.
Yeah, I
it's
thought he was
interesting you went in the
yes.
other direction because recently I'm seeing you in your backyard with a couple of your players on a putting green that makes the practice green at the Masters look like a bunch of weed-infested crabgrass. And I'm thinking, this guy's doing great, man. It's fantastic. I couldn't applaud you anymore. I saw your, when you were involved in your humble beginnings. So, great story here. All right, the Dolphins make some moves. Brett Tessler, we often talk about them since that's our hometown team. And Teddy Bridgewater ends up being a Miami Dolphin. They sign a running back, Chase Edwards, and also Cedric Wilson. And re-sign Agba, who I thought established himself as an important catalyst to anything they were doing defensively, which was, by and large, pretty good.
Yeah, they got Chase Edmonds, and a lot of people assume that would take them out of the running for my client, Raheem Mostert, but I don't necessarily think that'll be the case. I think that the way Mike McDaniel wants to run his offense, you're going to need multiple running backs that really fit his type of scheme. So they feel like Chase Edmonds was a good addition. And so, good for him. And we'll see what else they end up doing there.
Yeah, and you mentioned Raheem Mostert, and by the way, congratulations! Your name emblazoned there in bold type in the New York Post, saying that Raheem Mostert was fully recovered from his injury that limited him, I guess, to 2 snaps
Yeah.
last year. You would think Brett Tessler, agent to the stars, and Brett's presence here on the show brought to you by Will and Trust attorney Michael D. Wild, but you would think that McDaniel would absolutely love having Raheem Mostert on his roster. I mean, he was one of the reasons. I mean, it must have a very large, sort of I mean, a parallel relationship in that they were both very good for each other when they were in San Francisco.
Yeah, they did have success. And in regards to being mentioned in the New York Post, anytime you're mentioned in the Post where it doesn't involve you murdering your wife or something like that,
Or at a Trump rally, yeah.
Yeah, the sports section. The sports section.
Condemning Biden.
Let's just say it's a great testament. But
Yeah.
in regards to, Mostert and McDaniel, I don't think there's any secret that those two are very fond of each other.
Yep.
And have had great success working together in the past. And, maybe they'll get a chance to work together again. Time will tell. There's still a lot of things that need to get determined here over the next couple days.
Symbiotic, I think, was the word I was groping for. Yeah. Couldn't figure it out, so I had to just bail out on that question. All right, many other things happening. I mean, and we're seeing trades, Brett Tessler, involving players as well. I mean, and a couple of big ones. And it does seem like I don't know what happened with the Chargers. I mean, they woke up and figured that they were a couple of defensive players away from maybe being a much better team because they sort of knocking on the door there. Their head coach says some very, very questionable play calling and decision making in key moments of big games. And they end up bouncing out of the playoffs. Why? Because he called a timeout, right? They're in that Raiders game. Remember that? That was like buffoonery. And yet, I mean, they go out and make a big splash. They trade for Khalil Mack, who I believe still has something left, does he not?
Yeah.
Khalil Mack. And then they also get this cornerback. And J.C. Jackson. Yeah. Very, very good cornerback. So what do you think about those moves? Are they so far ahead of the pack in terms of transactions? And why are we seeing so many players being traded, Brett Tessler?
Chargers are a great team because they have a great young quarterback. That automatically qualifies you as a team to be reckoned with. And assuming that quarterback is just going to continue to improve and, just get more comfortable reading defenses and making decisions, while you have a guy like that under your control for the foreseeable future, you've got to quickly do everything you can to go for it. And so I think the Rams gave everybody the blueprint last year. And it's funny, every year a different team wins with a different style. And when they win with that style, you'll see other teams try to emulate what they do. So when the New York Giants were beating the Patriots with that amazing pass rush with guys like Umenyiora, Strahan, Kiwanuka, it really showed teams that getting to the quarterback is the way to win. And the Rams showed that last year. That continues to be the case with Aaron Donald and adding Von Miller. And essentially, that's why they won the Super Bowl. And so when you take a guy like Khalil Mack and you put him opposite of a guy like Joey Bosa, look out, because what do offensive coordinators do to deal with that? And, in the case of when Bosa was there and some other, maybe talented but lesser known players, there's still ways that you can try to work around it and ways that you can try to help other guys out. But now when you put a guy like Khalil Mack, who, was pretty much in, hell in Chicago over the last few years. Now you put him in a situation like that, it completely reinvigorates his career. That guy's got a ton of gas left in his tank, and you have no idea how it frees things up for someone like him to put him on the same line as Joey Bosa. If you're a starting quarterback facing the Chargers next year, it's downright scary.
All right, I hope you don't have to take that call, but I did have one more thing, and I saved the best for last year, Brett Tessler, because rarely am I jolted while conducting any of the interviews that we do in this program, where somebody says something and I go, "Say what?" And you were fairly emphatic about the idea that Tom Brady was coming back. Now you had him in San Francisco, or at least suggested that that might be the case, and maybe it was in play before ultimately he decides. And on the day of the NCAA selection show, and the whole fanfare that goes along with that, Brady drops a bombshell that he's coming back. It didn't seem like it was any surprise. Great call by you. I mean, you were the first guy to suggest that this was going to happen. And, he's going to come back now as a Buccaneer. What were your thoughts on all that? And what did you know? And when did you know it, Brett Tessler?
Well, I knew it when everyone else knew it in terms of formally when it broke that he was coming back to the Buccaneers. And I was not surprised one bit that he's coming back. I knew there was no way in this world that guy was staying retired. Nobody loves competing more than him. Nobody loves playing football more than him. And when you're blessed to be able to continue doing it at his age, at that level, if you've come this far, why quit now? At some point here, unfortunately, it is going to be over for him, whether he wants it to be or not. And, it's something you only get to do once. This isn't a case of, a businessman retiring and then getting an itch 5 years later. When the time comes when he does walk away, it's a door that closes forever. And it's just one of those things where congratulations to him and congratulations to us as fans of the NFL, because any NFL that has Tom Brady in it is a better NFL. And it's better for the fans of the Buccaneers. It's better for, the people who hate Tom Brady, either because he's so successful, so good looking, whatever the case may be. It's just good to have guys like him around, and I'm just very thankful and look forward to watching him this season as I've enjoyed watching him over the last couple decades. Mildly surprised that he came back to Tampa, just because I guess a lot of people assume that the only reason he would have retired in the first place is maybe because it was time to turn the page on that chapter. But apparently, if there ever were any issues, they got everything hashed out. And, it's just a good thing, again, that we can enjoy watching him. And he's one of those guys where you just have to realize every game, cherish it, because there will be a time soon enough where he is gone and the league's really going to miss him.
Had a friend of mine check out, big surprise, a relatively young guy. And I was thinking, I hope that guy had his affairs in order. I know he was a man of some means, but it doesn't matter what stage of life you're at in terms of your financial wherewithal. You want your family and your assets to be protected. There's one guy to go to. I mean, if this guy was on the Dolphins' offensive line, there would never be a sack. We wouldn't have to worry about Tua throwing that, ball down the field with his popgun arm. He would be safe. Michael D. Wild, the man to go to for any kind of issues with wills and trusts and or estate planning.
Yeah, sorry to hear about your friend, Deef. And, that's just the unfortunate reality of life. Things are very unpredictable. And that's why you have to do the most responsible thing possible and reach out to Michael Wild at southfloridawills.com. Best estate planning attorney down here in South Florida, and a guy who makes the process incredibly simple. It's more affordable than you might think. And it's just one of those things where once you get it taken care of, it takes such a weight off your shoulders, and it just gives you and your family a peace of mind. So reach out to Michael Wild, southfloridawills.com.
All right, go get him, man. Go get some of that money. Brett Tessler, the agent to the stars. Excellent stuff as always. Congratulations. You hit us over the head, like a bell went off on the show when you said Brady coming back. We're like, wow, what is this guy talking about? What does he know? And turned out to be absolutely on the money. So congratulations on that and all of your success. Thanks so much for being with us, Brett. It's always a pleasure, my friend. We'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds great, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Tess-Man.
All right, thanks a lot. I think he was doing a Kazatsky, don't you? Very humbly stated, like in a business-like diplomatic fashion, that no, it doesn't necessarily mean that, right, Lubie?
Well, he made it seem like it, and it makes a lot of sense. You'll see a ton of money spent in the first week, and then after that money's spent, it goes the other way where a lot of guys sort of get left out. So I'm curious.
Yeah, it could be. All right.
With the cap being higher, how that affects the money going forward.
And obviously, I don't know what kind of hemp this guy Shaka Khan is smoking up there in Jacksonville. But wouldn't you want to be a Jaguar at this point, right? They make it a desirable destination, even though the city, I don't know. I mean, is Jacksonville that much? I guess it's on the water, so that makes it automatically better than Orlando. But otherwise, it's the old Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, Lubie. What a dump. All right. My brother loves it there, though, Lubie. Absolutely loves it. He couldn't be any happier. He had a house on the water down here in South Florida, and he says he much prefers the whole lifestyle there in Jacksonville. So I don't know. It might be okay, but it sure is good to be a Jaguar, right? When they're doling out cash.
Ow. Are you kidding
in that
me?
proportion? My God.
Well, I see all these other teams with these young quarterbacks loading up, and they're trying to get into that realm. You see Burrow, you see Herbert.
Maybe Lawrence could turn out to be pretty good, right? Get rid of Urban
Lawrence
Meyer.
is supposed to be better than all of them, So it's like if they can do that with Lawrence, with all these other, with Burrow and Herbert, then why aren't they doing it with Lawrence? So I give the Jags credit. They have a real coach now in Peterson. Meyer wasn't that. So I give them credit for realizing right now we have Lawrence. We got to do more with him or we're going to waste it.
You know what the answer is there? Lane Kiffin. He's the answer to all coaching questions. Lane Kiffin. All right, we're coming back with more. Speaking of answers, I've been watching a lot of tennis lately, Lubie. It's sensational what's going on in one of our favorite games. And, of course, this guy keeps an eye on all kinds of things and has to be loving the fact that baseball is back. And he figures that the Yankees deserve every single free agent should sign with the Yankees, no matter, how invaluable, you might think the person is. That they're definitely not worth this kind of money that the Yankees are going to dole out. And yet that's all Harvey Fialkov cares about, right? That they should get every player. He's amazed they missed out on Scherzer, right? I mean, they should have had everybody. Can the Mets bypass the Yankees? No, that'll never happen. Not in the eyes of New Yorkers. All right, Harvey Fialkov.
That's the Knicks. The Nets may be better now, so people are paying attention to them, but they're never going to steal New York's attention. The same thing with the Mets. The Mets have been around; they've won a little.
Yeah,
but not the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees are
no, you're never going to eclipse that, right? The Ghost of the Bambino. All right, speaking of Ghost of the Bambino, Harvey Fialkov, diehard Yankee fan, and, of course, longtime sports writer, covered virtually everything and big on the tennis scene. So we get to talk a little bit about, and the Miami Open coming to town here.
Yes,
so all of these guys are going to be in town, and then who knows what happens after that. Is the Joker going to get a vaccine? Will he ever play again? What's happening with that? Meanwhile, a lot of guys, so Americans are actually making very good showings, Lubie, in the sport of tennis. Maybe it isn't the empty, barren wasteland that we thought, American tennis, at this point. Coming back with more in a moment here on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz, and Jim Laranega are going to join us as well on the precipice of going and taking the Canes into the NCAA tournament. So we applaud him on that and look forward to his comments about the upcoming event. And, of course, I would imagine some reminiscing, Lubie, 2006.
Yes,
See
sir.
the teams they mowed down to get to the Final Four there? My God. Jim Laranega going to join us here on the show, so we'll get into some baskets as well. Coming back with more here on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz, Ion Channel. Google the Defo Show. Click on Ion Channel. You can see the video stream, the audio. Our man Doug has this thing just booming on various audio sources and outlets and places all around the world. So that's been great. We'll be back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:09. If poker is your game, you're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. thank goodness for landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
The Atlanta Falcons organization is always, it seems like, in some form of upheaval, is it not?
Oh, yeah.
So they come in here a disheveled mess, and here's Greer with what should be a very polished team 3 years after a tank job, loaded with all kinds of great new talent, and sparked by a fresh young quarterback who they had targeted all along to be the guy that was going to guide their fortunes. And I literally thought Deshaun Watson was going to start the fourth quarter. Right? Chris Greer's on the phone the entire first half. Hey, we'll take him. No, I don't care. Tell us where to come.
Tell his lawyer to call me.
A disaster.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show, here on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz. And we're joined right now by, a universal sports aficionado and longtime sports writer, good friend of the program here, the great. And with his unbridled enthusiasm for the sporting world, he just has an infectious impact on the people that view the show. And it makes you want to, get out there and be a sports fan all over again. The great Harvey Fialkov joins us here on the program. Harvey, how are you, my friend? You look great today.
Hey, sounds like I'm a disease. I'm infecting people. But, no, tell me about it. I am celebrating, baby. We got rid of Gary Sanchez. Hallelujah. Oh, my God. I've been drinking ever since I heard the news. Toasting to Cashman for finally unloading that overpaid stiff. Out of shape, never hustled, automatic strikeout in the clutch. The worst defensive catcher in the history of baseball. A little league catcher was better than him. So I'm really so thrilled that he got rid of that weight around on the backs of the Yankee fans. And I am not happy about losing Gio Urshela, best fielder that they had. Also, great personality, camaraderie for the team. But hey, they had to get Josh Donaldson. A little bit over the hill at 36, but I think there are more moves coming, guys. So forget about, sorry, Jim Sarney, who posted no Yankee talk, but today's a special day in Yankee history, getting rid of this overpaid young man. Now they're going to go with Higgy and this new guy they got, Bortet, a rookie. We'll see what he's got. Righty, lefty platoon, maybe. They got a nice infielder, Kainer Alfalefa. Sounds like a Greek dish. But the guy got a Golden Glove at third base a few years ago. He's going to play short. Last year, he led the AL in singles, and I love having a contact hitter in the lineup with all the strikeout guys. So Cashman's not done. We'll see. I'm happy to see baseball is right around the corner with rule changes, DH in both leagues. They're getting rid of the ghost runner, it looks like, at second base and extra innings, all kinds of crazy stuff. And they're not getting rid of the shifts until next year, which I think is ridiculous. I wish they would get rid of that right away. I don't know what you boys think about the shift.
I think it's impossible to try to regulate what a team should do on the field. In other words, if hitters are that bad, that inept at going to all fields, which is one of the basic skills that every coach tries to instill in you, unless you're just an absolute monster power hitter. And now, unfortunately, everybody is trying to be that. But, I mean, how can you tell a team how to play defense? In other words, you have a guy, you're playing basketball, and there's a guy one of the guys, you needed a guy to fill in a spot there so you could run full, but this guy's never going to make a shot. I mean, should you be mandated to have somebody guard that guy, even though he's a no factor? I mean, how can you tell a defense how to play? I mean, can you tell them not to rush the quarterback?
Yeah, that's the thing.
In certain situations, if you were in the NFL or, to only play one side of the court. In the NBA, you can't tell a team what they should do defensively. It's up to the offense to make them go back and play it honest.
It's all about the Benjamin. Ratings are down because the batting averages are down. These guys are grounding out to second base and with second baseman standing in right field. poor Joey Gallo, who strikes out about 200 times a year. But you're right. I wish that they don't play that way anymore, Dave. I mean, Rod Carew would have fun with this Matty Alou. Remember the Alou boys? They would go the opposite way. They would bunt. They'd do anything to get on base. These guys, these big stiffs, just swing for the fences. But I just feel like you should have two infielders on each side of the field. I don't care if they play a little deeper. That's up to them. But I just don't like, the three infielders on one side of the field. I think that's
I don't like it, but
no, I hate it. But what are you gonna do? Like,
I don't think you can make a rule about it and say, hey, no matter what's going on here, you have to be on the other side of second base. I mean, and there were guys I remember even playing in recreational Sunday softball games, and there were guys that couldn't hit the ball to right field, and they were big power hitters, and everybody's trying to knock the thing out of the park there, or make you run to the school to fetch the ball, and but everybody played on the other side of the field because we knew this guy was never going to hit the ball to the right side under any circumstances, and how can you tell people not to do that? I don't see how you can make a rule in a sport where you can say, hey, listen, even though this would be absolutely the dumbest thing you could do defensively is to spread out like that, you have to do that because we can't figure out how to make the game more interesting.
We used to put four outfielders in the outfield. If you had a power hitter up in softball, as you had short center fielders also in softball, but this is hardball. And again, I agree with your premise. But I just feel like it's all about ratings, and fans just hate it, man. As a baseball fan, I can't stand it when you have the overpacked infields and the guys playing short right field, for a power lefty. So I understand the logic of it, and I just didn't like the shift. So I'm all for the rule. The DH in both leagues, that's happening this year. Again, that takes more strategy out of the game. I miss the old hit and runs, the bunts, but that's a new game. Stolen bases. Hey, this new shortstop they got had 20 steals last year. He brings speed to the Yankees. Tyler Wade is gone, unfortunately. So I just feel that who DH does take strategy out of the game. Anyone can manage now. It's all about managing the pitchers. Everything else is automatic right now. The managers do nothing basically except motivate their teams, hopefully. But did you want to see a pitcher swing a bat? Not anymore, because they don't even after high school they never hit again. So they become horrible hitters.
It was nice when like Seaver or Gibson came to the plate, right?
Oh my God, Rick Roden.
Tony there were always a majority of very poor hitting pitchers, but they at least had to have some ability to use a bat. I don't know. I think it was time. You had the DH in the American League, and everybody wants to see offense in the game. So why not get rid of the pitching spot there? And the way people manage now, it really didn't matter about leaving a pitcher in, having to make a decision there because they're yanking a guy in the sixth inning anyway.
Sixth inning, third and fourth inning.
Right. And then they're going to bring in a parade of one inning relievers and, and it's the same formula every night. So you're right. I mean, there's no need to even pay a manager to be a part of a ball club, although, you always are going to favor the guys that have a little bit of instinct on those sort of things. All right, I'm watching Indian Wells.
Oh, man.
You think Matteo Berrettini is having trouble getting chicks? Man, is that guy a stud? Holy moly, man. You talk about the Italian stallion. No, I mean, and I'm waiting for this guy to break through. I saw you had a post about, are you not a fan of Medvedev? I know, obviously, I don't know that he was responsible for any of this stuff that's going on in the Ukraine. They didn't even introduce him as being from Russia.
It's a joke.
Yeah. But, I mean, he's a good player, but he's lost now a couple of times straight to Nadal, Australian Open, and also the tournament, I think it was in Acapulco. Right. And then he loses, in an early round to Gael Monfils, who, you talk about enigmatic, this guy, a world of talent, but never really accomplished, while he's done well for himself, never really accomplished what people might have predicted for him early on in his career.
So much for Medvedev being number one. Djokovic is back to being number one after Medvedev got bounced.
Yeah. It's like the World Boxing Council, where a guy doesn't fight for a year, but he catapults the number 2 contender for the mandatory title shot.
He's home, not getting shots. Yeah. He's doing other shots, but the guy's not playing Indian Wells, not playing Miami. He's standing on his principles, whatever they are, being foolish, in my opinion, ruining his career, letting Rafa zip by him now in the slam race. And, Rafa's going to play Indian Wells. He may go all the way. He's 17-0 this year. That's his best start since any player, since 1990, since any male player. And listen, Rafa is already pulled out of Miami Open. He's going to get ready for the clay court season. He hasn't played Miami since 2017. It's one of the only Masters series he's never won. The big three hasn't been in Miami since 2019 Djokovic played in 2019. But as far as all three of them, it's been years since they've been there together. They're finally, obviously, things are changing in tennis. We're seeing a lot of young stars. But Medvedev, I love watching the guy, but he's also a little flaky out there. He loses his mind at times on the court. He smashed his record into smithereens yesterday, losing to Monfils. Listen, Monfils, all these we knew he had the talent to be top 5 player, but he just liked to entertain instead of be serious about his training and about playing those 5-setters. He's always great.
He always looks like he's ready to fall over. Right.
Point. He's so athletic. He just loves running. The guy is like a greyhound out there. He's still fast as hell. He's 35 years old. And I love watching him. He's entertaining. He's one of the nicest guys on the tour. But he got married, to, I think, Svitolina, and he's getting more serious about his game before he hangs it up. I think he wants to make a run at a slam. The guy has all the ability in the world. He hits about 125 mile an hour serves. He has every stroke in the book, and he has speed. So I root for the guy. But hey, the Americans are doing great. This kid Jensen Brooksby took out Tsitsipas last night, who struggled since his wrist injury.
He came back because he got blown out in the first set.
Yeah, Brooksby beat him, man. And Tommy Paul knocked out Zverev the other day, who's also
your man Opelka. Your man, Riley Opelka.
Just had a big win. So you got a lot of Americans in Final 16. It's great to see. Hard courts, their surface. We'll see how it goes. But right now, Rafa's got Opelka in the next round, the big server. Rafa will play in the stands waiting to receive that 130 mile an hour cannon. But it's fun. The women's game, anyone could win. It's really not exciting right now. There's nobody dominated. Halep is struggling. Kennan is struggling. Obviously, Osaka had another crying jag on the court because one fan out of 20,000 said she sucked, so she lost it again. And the girl needs to go. She needs to go away for a while and just get some help. She's got $350 million in the bank. She could afford a good psychiatrist. But right now, I like this Spanish woman, Badosa's looking to defend her title. She had a great win last night. And Leylah Fernandez, the little teenager from Canada who was in the U.S. Open final last year, she had a big win yesterday. She's exciting to watch. She's a lot of fun out there on the court. It's an all-court game like Ash Barty, who stayed in Australia just doesn't like to leave her homeland, even though she's number 1 in the world. She won't be playing the hard court season. So a lot of fun. I love Indian Wells. It's on too late. Kyrgios won, I think, like 2 a.m. last night. So Crazy Nick is still in it also. So it's just right now, I'm a tennis nut. I umpire all weekend. This great tournament, Rick Macy's in Boca Raton. Nice. And then I play all week.
Outstanding, my friend. I mean, who's living a better life than you? We have to run, and not because we're out of subject matter, but if I don't call the New York Post, subscription department by 8:30, I can't get my paper redelivered, which is the first one I've missed. So I'm going to be on the phone here for about a minute and a half or two there, Lubie, and hopefully not come back on the phone trying to get a newspaper while Jim Laranega joins us here on the show. Wow. Harvey, always a pleasure, my friend. Good stuff as always. Thanks so much for being with us, and let me get my post.
Good luck to you in the tournament, baby. And re-sign Rizzo. We need a lefty in the lineup.
Dedicated to Jim Sarney, Harvey Fialkov's appearance here on the show. All right, Jim Laranega coming up. If I'm on the phone, I might need an extra 30 seconds or so to get this newspaper situation straightened out. I mean, it's like some people need to read the Bible every day. I need my New York Post. So I've got like 6 minutes to get this thing back thrown out here sometime this morning. All right, back with more in a moment on the Defo Show. Priorities are priorities here.
Yeah,
work.
Your priorities are always.
Nothing irritates me more than the lack of delivery here. I was just giving them compliments, too, about how great they are. Back in a moment here on Ion Channel. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:25.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Jim Laranega, we love you, Jim Laranega. Coach Laranega, won't you do us a favor? Bring us a winner, one stinking winner. Deliver a winner in this town filled with losers.
Buenos dias. The cafecito is piping hot. Why not enjoy it with Defo and Lubie? It's now time for the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz, the Defo Show here on Ion Channel. You can Google the Defo Show. We're streaming audio and video around the world, courtesy of Jack Namer and his fine organization. And, speaking of fine organizations, University of Miami basketball, first-class operation, and especially once this man was at the controls. And we need to congratulate him because Lubie's going to be here even longer. Well,
Yes,
we have
sir.
this basketball treasure chest right here in our midst here in the South Florida area. We welcome to the show and heading for the NCAA tournament, the head coach of the University of Miami basketball team, the great Jim Laranega, joins us here on the Defo Show. Coach, how are you? Good to have you on the program.
Yeah, I'm good, Defo. I'm excited. Friday we'll be tossing it up around 3:10 Friday afternoon against Southern Cal in the NCAA tournament, and March Madness has officially begun.
You've had to really dust off the dancing shoes a couple of times in the last week. I mean, it's always great to be with your team, and it's such a heartening celebration when you see the team celebrate when their selection is announced into the NCAA tournament, as the University of Miami was for that ball game that you mentioned, and then contract extension. I don't know. I mean, are the legs a little tired? I mean, you had to be doing a lot of dancing, Coach Laranega.
Yeah, a couple of good weeks, you know.
Great stuff. All right. I mean, again, we say this, and I know you're too humble to, probably go along with this notion, but you own Coach K. I mean, Duke. You had what, a 500 record against them in ACC play, and then you give them all they can handle. Now, that was a beautiful thing in the ACC tournament, and especially, I mean, is there anything better than like a full court pass for a game-winning layup at the buzzer in the previous game? That had to be a pretty good ride that you had in the tournament, Coach. Tell us about the experience.
Well, in the previous game, before we played Duke, we played Boston College, who had won in overtime the night before, and the game went into overtime, and we were in a battle. They were playing really hard and really well, and our guys were playing well, and the game was going back and forth. And finally, they had the ball with just under 20 seconds to play, and they ran a play and shot the ball with 5 seconds to go. Jordan Miller defended the shooter very well. The shot missed. Sam Wardenberg got the rebound, outletted it to Charlie Moore, and after Jordan Miller contested the shot, he took off, and Charlie Moore hit him in stride for a layup at the buzzer for the win. So it was a great win. It moved us into the semifinals, and we have battled Duke evenly. It was our record was 7-7 over the last 10 years, and unfortunately, they got the best of us. We had a chance. The score was I think we were down 2 with the ball with just under a minute to play, and we ended up not being able to convert, and they made some free throws. So, but we're excited now. The next stage of the college basketball season, it actually begins today. NCAA basketball starts today.
Yeah, I have the couple of playing games, and then a couple more tomorrow, and then all the excitement begins. Now, did you break out old Bill Russell tapes on that full court outlet that ended up beating Boston College? Was it Dave Cowens, Walton? I mean, where did they get this idea? Or is that just, in kids' heads today to make a perfect pass like that? And that's a thing of beauty when it happens. I mean, it couldn't have been any better. I mean, one of the great plays I've seen. I'm surprised that wasn't number one on top 10 SportsCenter plays that night.
Well, here's the thing. After the game was over, we were being interviewed, and they asked Charlie Moore about it. Now, to me, it was just an instinctive play, but Charlie reminded me and the media that we do that every day. It's called the Celtic drill. It's a fast break drill. Sam Wardenberg gets the rebound, outlets it to Charlie, who throws it to Jordan, who makes the layup, and it continues where other guys are doing the same thing. So it is something we practice all the time, but you don't normally see it to end the game and the layup be at the buzzer. It was a tremendous play by all 3 players.
It's the kind of thing you fantasize about when you're playing full court by yourself in the park, because you just want to go out and shoot some baskets. And, you imagine a situation that it would be a buzzer beater to win a tournament game. It does appear, Coach Laranega, like your team is, very close. I know it could be cliche to say this, but also they look like they're having a blast out there, which is great to see.
Well, I think the team chemistry has been tremendous all year long. And I think a lot has to do with our returning players embracing the new guys. Now, Sam Wardenberg, Rodney Miller, Dan Gack, Cam McGusty, and Isaiah Wong all returned from last year. And then we have Charlie Moore, Jordan Miller, and our 3 freshmen, Bensley Joseph, Wooga Poplar, and Ja'Kai Robinson. And blending their skills together has been the responsibility of my coaching staff. But the beauty of it is the veteran players just embrace the young and new guys, and they've made themselves a very formidable team. What I am disappointed in is the lack of respect that the ACC is getting. Notre Dame, who finished second in the ACC, is in one of the first 4 games today.
Yep.
What you refer to as the play-in game.
Yep.
That is crazy. A team like Notre Dame, we're not talking about a mid-major, low-major team. We're talking about one of the premier athletic programs in the country. They're in the play-in game, and they finished second in the ACC regular season. So this is unheard of. It's disrespectful. Oh, and I hope our league will earn some respect during these next few weeks.
Talking about earning respect, we're talking with Coach Jim Laranega. The Canes back in the tournament. So congratulations, Coach. Congratulations on your extension. The Canes take the court 3:10 p.m. this Friday. They're in the Midwest region, take on USC. I want to ask you, because there's been a lot of buzz around UM. You've talked about this for a few years, especially with your program. They were close. Just a lot of injuries. You're healthy this year, and we've seen what you guys can do. But now with Coach Cristobal back, a lot of the times it seems like the coaches at a program sort of come together because they realize one sport can help another. How does it feel to not only have your program being a success, but to see the South Florida kid come home and have Coach Cristobal back at Coral Gables?
Oh, Mario's going to do a fantastic job. The reception that he got, our fans, our season ticket holders, all of our boosters, they are thrilled about the direction our football program is already heading in. The recruiting has gone well. Their spring training has gone well. So, Mario and his staff are going to bring a lot of excitement to South Florida, to the Miami, Coral Gables area. And that certainly helps our basketball program, and it helps all of our athletic programs because people follow the U. Everybody knows the U football program is legendary, with 5 national championships to their credit. So we're going to be back battling for a national championship again before too long.
The great Jim Laranega is going to start his quest for a national championship coming up on Friday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3:10, right? The 3:10 to Yuma. And that's against USC. An interesting story. I mean, what do we know of USC? I would have to say, Coach, I don't know that I saw enough USC basketball to have a great feel for what they do. We know Enfield was at Florida Gulf Coast, made a George Mason-like run. Didn't quite get to the Final Four, but certainly came into prominence. He has a great story and background behind him. What does USC look like to you as you've gone through the film and trying to get yourself ready for this game?
Well, as you mentioned, Andy Enfield did a great job at Florida Gulf Coast. He's doing a great job at Southern Cal. They are the 4th tallest team in the country.
Jeez.
Their 2-guard, Drew Peterson, is 6'9". 6'9" as a 2-guard. They are gigantic.
Jeez.
Holy Magic Johnson.
I was gonna say Magic.
Yeah.
6'3", 6'9", 6'9", 6'9", 6'10". They're gigantic. They're the 4th tallest team in the country. He runs like a pro-style offense. Their big kid, Mobley, his younger brother is now with the Cleveland Cavaliers and probably going to be Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
So, they're a very talented team. Boogie Ellis, who is their point guard, shooting guard, transferred from Memphis, came back home. He's actually from California. And they like the Florida Gulf Coast team. They like to run and shoot it, and very, very talented, very, very big. They block a lot of shots. They're the number 1 team in the Pac-12 in rebounding at both ends of the court, and that's not a strong area for us. We're not a great defensive rebounding team, and they're the number 1 offensive rebounding team. So we're going to have our hands full on the backboards.
Get some elbow swinging or something in there, to try and create some kind of equalizer. Some of the old New York recreational park tactics. What do you have to do to beat them then? Obviously, box out. I mean, what will the message be before the game as you send your team out there on the court?
Actually, I don't want them getting shots. I don't want it to be a rebound battle.
Yeah.
We want to put enough pressure on them to force mistakes, to force turnovers. We want to get some steals and get into the open court. Our goal will be that to force at least 15 to 20 turnovers. If we get 15 to 20 turnovers, that means 15 to 20 less shots for them. And that's what it'll take to beat the Southern Cal Trojans. We can't allow it to be a battle on the board. And from an offensive standpoint, the same way. We have to make shots. We can't allow them to just dominate the glass because we're missing. We're not going to get enough offensive rebounds to win, so we got to make the first shot count.
One of my favorite sports movies, Cinderella Man, a great story. And I'm a huge fan, Coach Laranega, of all Cinderella stories. And I don't know that there's a greater source of them than the NCAA basketball tournament. And you were one of those Cinderellas. So what was it like to wear the glass slipper in 2006?
One of the things we've shared with our players this year, and this is very, very true, every team that makes the NCAA tournament is good. You only do it one of two ways. You either go on a roll and win your conference tournament like Virginia Tech did as the 7th seed, and you go into the NCAA tournament feeling great about yourselves. Or you had a great resume and got invited to the dance because you've had a great overall season, like the Miami Hurricanes have done. Once you get in there, it then becomes how well do you play? Our George Mason team that made the run to the Final Four won the regular season but lost in the tournament. When we lost in the conference tournament, I asked the players, I said, hey, we lose in the tournament. Does that mean we're a bad team and don't deserve to be in? And they were like, no, we had a bad shooting night. So we got to bounce back and play our best basketball. We then faced, in the first round, a team that had been to the Final Four the year before, Michigan State. And we played a great game and beat them 75-65. The next game, we had to play the defending national champions, the North Carolina Tar Heels.
Yep.
And we beat them. So what I'm saying is, when you get into the tournament, everybody is good. You just have to play really, really well the night you play. And not every team does that. A few years ago, the University of Virginia lost. They were the number 1 seed, and they lost to UMBC, a school that nobody ever heard of. It was a 1 seed versus a 16 seed.
Yeah.
And the first time the 16 seed won because they were good that day. Now, they lost the next day, but they were great that day. The following year, Virginia won the national championship because they played great every game. So you have to play really well. When that ball is tipped off 3:10 on Friday and the Miami Hurricanes are facing the Southern Cal Trojans, we have to play a great game that day. And if we win, we're going to have to play a great game 2 days later on Sunday. And you have to play that well every night if you want to advance. Survive and advance, lose and go home.
Coach, have you or will you use that George Mason run to motivate these guys? Because the Canes are sort of an unsung team. You've been good all year, and you've been talking about this club for 3 years with us. You've been waiting for the injuries to subside. They did, and you guys were consistent all year long, going toe-to-toe with as good as anyone in the country, yet you're sort of forgotten. Have you or will you use that run by George Mason to motivate these guys?
No, we don't talk about George Mason. We talk about our Miami program and the things we've done. We've talked about the Shane Larkin team that won the ACC. We talk about the Angel Rodriguez team, the Bruce Brown team. And we talk about, how little difference there is in most of the time it comes down to either getting a defensive stop or making a shot. When we played Loyola Chicago a few years back in 2018, we were up to shooting a free throw with like 7 seconds to go. We missed the free throw, and Loyola Chicago got the rebound, raced down the floor, and shot a three. The shot went in, and they beat us. They went on to the Final Four that year. That's the kind of luck you have to have, and you have to be lucky, but you also have to be really, really good.
All right, one final thing, Coach. We appreciate your time as always. It's always a pleasure talking about anything with you, especially at this time of the year where everybody's so excited about college basketball, even in this town, which is not necessarily one that has been overwhelmingly interested in the game, but you certainly have put them in people's hearts and minds, and we applaud you for that. Getting back to the Cinderella thing, and we have to go a little old school here, but I always like the Cinderella player that evolves in the tournament. It seems like, maybe it's not every year, but there have been many great ones. I remember Cassie Russell had a great tournament one year, and, next thing you know, we were so happy he became a New York Knick, and we saw this with many other players, including another New York Knick that I would imagine you're very familiar with, who was with Marquette and helped them make a big run. And it was kind of an improbable guy to steal the show, but Dean the Dream Meminger. Your recollections of Dean the Dream Meminger, who never fulfilled tremendous promise as a pro, but nonetheless, as a college player, man, I mean, you thought you were watching pure genius when he was in the tournament.
Well, Dean Meminger and I are the same year in school. And
there you go.
A number of times in high school. Dean Meminger and Charlie Elverton were the backcourt for Rice High School in New York City. And my teammates and I were playing against Rice at Archbishop Malloy. And the one very sad memory I have of Dean Meminger is his Rice High School team beat my Archbishop Malloy team in the New York City CHSAA semifinals in 1967.
Whoa.
My team was undefeated, 23 and 0.
No.
23 and 0, and we lost to Rice. And it's the only game in my career that I got thrown out. I got thrown out for punching Charlie Elverton with about 45, 50 seconds to go.
You went Juwan Howard on the guy.
A little bit of we got into a little bit of a scuffle, and I punched him in the face, and the ref threw me out of the game. So,
wow.
In a Catholic high school game, Coach. I mean, that's competitive. Yeah.
That's great.
That's funny. All right. Well, we love you, Coach, and best of luck. I mean, we want to see those Trojans go back inside the horse and gallop all the way back to L.A. with a loss. And we'd love to see a great run by the University of Miami. Congratulations on everything, making the tournament, great season, and, of course, the contract extension. So we're so happy that you're going to be around for at least a while longer. I think that was into 2035, Coach. So very happy to see that happen. Great move by the athletic department. And thanks so much for being with us. It's always a pleasure. Always a blast talking to you.
My pleasure, fellas.
Thanks, Coach. Good
Thanks
luck.
so much. Dean the Dream Meminger, huh? How about that?
Wow, Dean the Dream. We need to expand our coach. He nailed all of them so much. We have to do research from now on and have a list of guys we're gonna just try and get him with, because he not only knows all of them, he has a personal relationship with all of them. It's
I'm not trying to get him. I'm hoping he knows the guy.
Okay.
But I have my fingers crossed going, and I believe I might have discussed Dean the Dream with him once before. So
you brought Dean.
that was not unfamiliar turf, but I always love the stories. And, what's amazing is here's this guy and a total recall of everything that happened in his most recent games. And then total recall of something that happened in 1967, Lubie.
Yes, that was great.
Which, by the way, on a personal note, I believe the Mustang might have let my New York Post account lapse. Which she's not a big fan of the ink stains on all the doors and, especially in my bathroom.
Oh, no.
Yeah, down
On
here in the
purpose.
man
She did it
cave.
on purpose for sure.
It's not a cheap proposition, okay? I mean, they're essentially charging you, I mean, what you could pay it if you could find it in the store. But I mean, obviously, you're not going to get up in the morning. And the delivery has been outstanding, Louis. This is why they shook me up this morning.
Yeah.
But I called while I, was on during one of the breaks there, and very nice of you to extend the break, although it didn't take me long to figure out what might have happened here because the automated voice system told me there were no deliveries scheduled today in my area, which either means the delivery guy quit or my account lapsed. I didn't have time to get to the bottom of that, while we were doing the show. But the deal is, if you don't call before 8:30, every now and then they do miss it, and if you don't call before 8:30, you have no shot of getting, that paper redelivered, which, I do depend on it for a lot of things because what I like about having the actual newspaper is, you're not having to flip through things and then go back and all of this stuff. It's all right there in front of you, whether you're looking at standings or odds or this sort of thing. I mean, I understand it's yesterday's news tomorrow. And I still dig good sports writing, which we're going to have featured on our Believe podcast later on this morning, as we will talk to the great Dave Hyde.
Yes.
I guess that's going to be today's podcast on Believe.
Yep.
So some other material there, and it's appropriately named After Hours, which is exactly how it transpires because it's After Hours on our Ion Channel show. But just another platform there where, Lubie, you're actually shining on that thing, are you not? Haven't you become like their second most popular guy behind Brandon Lang?
I don't know about all that, but I've done a few on my own. But I'm happy to have you most of the time. It's a good time. We have a good time there. We enjoyed being there with reasons and being here. Our platforms are really cool, and we embrace all of them, and we appreciate all of them.
Very nice, Lubie. And you say those numbers were real that you sent me?
All legit.
Very good.
That's what's cool. Everything's actually doing really well, and we appreciate everyone who's followed us. And I keep finding new people to find us. So it's
very good. Jack will appreciate that as well on Ion Channel, which is our main source of everything that we're doing, and we're really loving it. Hey, Jim Laranega is great. I wish we could get him with a visual here on the program. I don't know if we can arrange that.
I tried for video, but with this week being so hectic, they're like, let's just do the phone. We know we have that down. He enjoys talking to you guys, and then the next time we'll do video. So hopefully they make a deep run, and then we'll get him with their success in the background on video.
Oh, yeah, I'd love it if Jim Laranega came down to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill when we sit down with Jimmer, the great one himself, Mr. Jimmy Johnson, because great pair of gyms there, right? And mile marker 104, Key Largo, is where Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill is located. That is a beautiful spot. I mean, imagine now that would make a great show if we could get those two guys sitting down together talking about their experience as coaches, because they both have
that'd be your dream.
Like a lot of, that would be. I should just be a producer, right? I ought to drop out of the
that day if we wouldn't have to talk
camera stuff. Yeah,
are you kidding me?
Laranega and Jimmy Johnson. Wow, if we could get those two guys to sit down together, that would be a good thing to arrange, would it not? We'll see if we can do that. We'll start working on larger, more ambitious projects here because they're both going to be free, right? Football season. You have Jimmy going to be relaxing there at the Big Chill, and maybe we can invite. We'll send a limo for Laranega, bring him down there, and have those two guys tee it up. Because, wow, what great coaching stories, huh? But it's a great place to talk with anyone or just hang out with your family, hang out with your friends. Of course, the NCAA tournament, it gets underway tonight with a couple of play-in games, as Jim Laranega mentioned. Wow, what a great spot to watch all of the action this coming weekend. I should have switched out of Vegas and just gone straight down to the Big Chill in Key Largo and just been relaxing down there for about 5 days, and I would have saved a lot of money that I'm probably going to get buried gambling. And the food there is as good as Chef Vola's, which is really the highlight of my Atlantic City visits because, it's almost like you're getting that great last meal before you go to the chair, especially the chair, that the Mustang will be sitting in front of a slot machine that nobody can figure out how you win. Do I have anything? No, I got nothing. All right. Buffaloes are stampeding, lions are roaring, knights are coming out there throwing swords at each other.
And you have zero.
And you're looking and going, I just pissed away 100. What the hell is that?
Exactly.
These sticks go quickly. in these situations.
That's what's good about the Big Chill is you can sit there all day and the sticks.
Oh man, you milk a stick
fly
for
away.
great meals and one of those Italian fisherman pizzas and a bunch of drinks. And you know what? Why don't you bring us some of those nachos while you're at it too, man. Great place to be anytime, whether you're talking about vacation, just hanging out down there for a day. As John Kajemi was saying yesterday on the show, like an hour and a quarter from his house. I mean, is it worth an hour and a quarter drive to completely change environments?
Oh yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you go from one world into another. It's just absolutely fantastic. A paradise inside of a paradise there. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Larry Calvano, all of the staff there, they do a tremendous job. Larry, of course, owns the joint, so we always pay homage to him. He's a tremendous guy and obviously a very astute businessman because he brought in Jimmy, and, the place has been rocking ever since. Just absolutely great. So fantastic accommodations. Check that out at jimmyjohnsonsbigchill.com, and also just a great place to hang out. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 1040, Overseas Highway as it's known, right there in the very northern end of Key Largo.
It's not like Key West where you're driving 2.5 hours. Like it's like an hour and 20 minutes. Like it's not far at all from Broward, Dade, or even West Palm. Like you get to be somewhere different without having to drive 3 hours.
I was never so scared in my life. I was driving to Key West in my MGB, which the back window had been blown out for a long period of time. The plastic always, melts or whatever. Yeah. And I was driving to Key West for the first time with the woman that was about to become my wife.
Okay.
Because we got married down there, and they had the old 7 Mile Bridge, this rickety-tickety thing that looked like the bridge over the River Kwai. And it was for 7 miles, and it was so narrow, Lubie, that if a truck came by the other way, I mean, you were like a bobsled going into the railing. He's going to lose a few seconds there. These split seconds are precious. You thought you were going to lose your life. And I'm driving there at night in a blinding rainstorm also. And, the cars are whizzing by going the other way. And I literally thought that I was going to die. And I ended up getting married, but that wasn't anything close to the horror I was experiencing. I actually, it was what it was, right, Lubie? I mean, I went 8 years in that one.
That's pretty
That's
good.
A reasonable amount of time, no?
Solid. Be my first marriage.
I mean, my quarterback rating is not high in this category. That's for sure. You see that, Joe? He's got a 25 quarterback rating. That's one of the lowest in the league. All right, you may as well just take it right out the door here, Mike Lubitz, and sign off for the day. It's been a lot of fun being with you guys. Wow. Terrific guests on the program. Brett Tessler was on his game, man. Mathematical wizard. Numerology was being spewed out there. Well, the cap is $208 million, and now you got this and you got that. But a lot of movement there. Teddy Bridgewater somebody's already speculating he'll beat out Tua for the starting quarterback job.
Nah, he's a backup. I mean, he's shown what he is the last couple of years. Be Denver and be at his stops before then. But it's good. He's a nice backup, and he's a South Florida kid, and he's wanted to be down here for a while. So I'm really excited to have him here. I think Agba was a good move. I don't know about the skill position guys. We'll see. And we'll see if they can get themselves a couple offensive linemen because a bunch of them already went in the first day.
Yeah. Every guy was like 4 years, 40.
It's a ton of money.
4 years, 40 million. Brett Tessler has 20 clients in the NFL. I keep trying to do the math on what kind of money Tessler's actually taken down. Just out of curiosity, like, a guy that's just making an absolute fortune.
He's doing well. Yeah, he's doing well.
No. I mean, he earned every penny of it, as he says, because, I remember when he had Trent Gamble was his only client. And he was working out of, some one-bedroom townhouse, in a nondescript area of western Broward County here. And then he got McIntosh, I think, was his first real big score. Remember the offensive lineman, McIntosh? And he got in a little jackpot there. There was some kind of sexual abuse thing or spousal abuse that apparently he was able to smooth over because I believe he stayed with his wife. What was it? Damian McIntosh? Was that the guy's name?
Oh,
Damian McIntosh? Yeah. Offensive lineman, big, studly guy. Actually, he was kind of rotund, but he signed like with the Chiefs or something for some ridiculous amount of money at the time. I think it was like $30 million over 5 years, and everybody was like, holy moly, man. It was like they gave the babe $100,000 back in the day in Major League Baseball. But anyway, we thank him for being with us. Jim Laranega, wow, always fascinating, huh? I mean, was that good stuff all the way through? Very, very nice job there, Lubie, getting Jim on the show. And we appreciate the fact that he enjoys coming on with us. It's kind of an honor, isn't it? Doesn't it make you feel good?
Yeah, there's about to be a tournament. I didn't think there was any shot we'd get him this week. Like, they were all about it. It was really cool.
Yeah, no, we had a lot of fun talking with Jim. So a lot of fun being with you here on Ion Channel. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll do it again tomorrow at 7 in the a.m. I'll get to the bottom of my New York Post subscription because half of my material originates right there in the New York Post, including, I mean, where would I have found? How much mileage did I get out of the Brent Musburger Bury America campaign when they were carrying the blurbs from his Vegas Sports Information Network and literally burying the public like any great funeral director? Right? Like they were Peter Lorre out there with a jar full of embalming fluid. It was amazing. All right. We'll see you tomorrow at 7 in the a.m. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hope you guys had as much fun as we did. And we'll join you tomorrow at 7 as we leave you on that.
The time.
It's 9 o'clock on the East Coast.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.